Tim, I asked you for it. You did.
Yeah.
Wait up. Okay. We still have 2 minutes. So, the whole committee.
We're waiting on Tom. He said he was on or coming in person.
We've at least got one.
Harold might be here, no?
No, he's absent and excused.
Update your list. About the water resources.
Yep. Yeah, I talked to
The other way
the clerk
around.
about that.
Busy.
Yes, right now.
Yes, Lori is way too busy. Just don't give her anything extra to do. You said you weren't coming.
Because
I'll say that.
Told me at lunch you weren't coming.
Oh, that's when I thought the meeting was at 7. You're right, I did say that.
Yes,
Then I found out the meeting was at 6.
meeting's at 6 and we're moving item 3 up. Okay, it's 6 o'clock. So I will call the meeting to order, and Kevin, if you'll take the roll.
All right, David Lauren,
Present.
David Shaw,
Here.
Jim Gurn,
Here.
Susan West.
Present.
Tom Bernthal is not here. He told me he would be here in person. Nathan is absent and excused. Charles is absent and excused. We do have a quorum.
Okay, and first item is approval of the minutes from September 25th, 2024. Anybody have any comments? Okay, I will accept the minutes then. And since we have people that need to leave, we will go to item number 3, which is preliminary plat and site plan for Ziegler Farm neighborhood of Viridian Homes lands east and west of High Road.
the Viridian Homes has submitted their preliminary plat for Ziegler property. And there's quite a packet in here, I know, so we'll go through as many items or at least touch on what those attachments are. We have the Viridian Home developers here tonight, so they're able to answer any questions that you guys all have. And then I'm also going to open up the floor, if that's okay with Susan, to have them just give a brief, like 5-minute overview of the development or the project. Kevin, if you could kind of scroll through or just to show a visual of the project oh, sorry. If you wanted to go to.
This is all the stuff that's alternate to that one. Yeah.
Make that. Oh my gosh, sorry. 142 might be a good place to kind of start. There are a lot of visuals coming forward, and I know there's 3 various concepts that have been shown. So we have one version of that in front of you guys today to at least discuss and talk about. But if you guys want to highlight a little bit more of the development, that would be awesome.
Great.
Well, Brian Munson with Vanderwall and Associates. Glad to be here tonight after we were at the Plan Commission last night talking about the project. We're at the front end of the formal review process. So gathering input from staff, gathering input for committees. So we appreciate the opportunity tonight to talk about the Ziegler Farm. This is a project that has been kind of a gap in the fabric of the development up on the north side of the city for quite some time now. And so we're happy to be here to talk about it, and excited about the opportunity to both implement some housing pieces that are really needed in the city, but at the same time address some of the conservation, some of the natural features of this site. So when we approach a project, we always start with what does the adopted plan say, followed by what does the site say. So we have done detailed wetland delineation. We have done soil boring on this site. We've done site walks and investigations really to understand what's there today, with a focus of developing the lands that are identified for development and are appropriate for development, and preserving the lands that are environmentally sensitive. So what you see in this plan is alternative 2. So this is what was discussed and recommended from the Plan Commission last night. The primary change from what was submitted in the packet has to do with the road, kind of on the east side of High Road, accessing development east of High Road. There were 2 kind of options. One had a road alignment that would go to Keneal. The Plan Commission, and we wholeheartedly agree with this, recommended the road alignment that moves it north. The reason to move it north is we can avoid the wetlands then. To connect to Keneal meant we would have had
Can
to.
you kind of point at what?
Sure.
Kevin.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
I'm a little,
so here's Keneal Trail, existing road, in the Misty Valley development. What we're talking about is the road alignment between what's called roadway D and High Road, which runs north-south.
Yep.
And that road has been shown, that's kind of what alternative 1, 2, and 3 have been shown. That road to connect directly across from Keneal Trail, roadway D, and then a little ways up, and then all the way at the top of the property. So there's been 3 various locations for that roadway, kind of generally in that location. The Plan Commission is more favorable. I don't know if they all the way endorsed a plan last night, but they're more favorable, but they did not make a motion or that what they specifically like, because that's why we're here tonight, to get feedback.
Brian, is it safe to say that delineated wetlands are shown up in the dark?
Yes, I was just going to say that. Dark green's the delineated wetlands. The next light green is on the east side of High Road, it's a 75-foot setback. On the west side, it's a 75-foot setback. We'll talk about that in just a second. But at the Plan Commission, as I said, they did offer an opinion, I guess you're correct. It's not a formal action, but it is a recommendation stage right now to pursue the higher alignment of Road D to avoid the wetland impacts for really, I think, for 2 reasons. So one, of course, is to avoid wetland impacts. That's kind of a fairly straightforward piece. But the other benefit of moving it north is that you can kind of see in the lower inset graphic there, it helps that continuous open space corridor to exist from the Ziegler property east of High Road up through the Keneal Conservancy and down over to Graber Pond, and keep that in open space.
What are you considering Keneal Conservancy?
So sorry,
It's a
just
term I'm
north,
not familiar.
right, just north of Keneal Road, that stretch of Conservancy. I think it has a little sign there that even says Keneal Conservancy. I wasn't sure if that was the official name, but
That triangle.
So there's a
just the triangle.
triangle
Okay.
here of
Oh, that little
adopted.
tiny bit.
Yeah.
Adopted city
City
land.
adopted.
Yeah, I wouldn't use the word conservancy, but it's a native landscape.
Yes.
It's been adopted by the city. And then this area here is stormwater feature. It goes into Graber Pond, managed by Public Works and Parks Department.
Yep,
Okay.
so it preserves that connection of open space that spans from Graber Pond around and over to Pheasant Branch Creek. And offers, I think, a good opportunity to continue for that to function as a habitat corridor. The other things that we've done with the plan, just to explain a little bit about how we put this together, of course, we've beyond the housing pieces, as I said, we've done intensive soil borings on the site to understand the soil conditions. That's led to the placement of stormwater management. And the design of the stormwater management for both sides of High Road are to have 100% stay on. So meet a higher standard than the typical stormwater standard, not just in the Graber Pond watershed, but also on the downstream watershed. So that is designed into the stormwater management facilities right now. They're a mixture of bio infiltration basins, and wet basins. So multi tiered approach, try to keep as much stormwater on site and to infiltrate it where we could. That's why you see it where it is we moved it to soils that would accept the infiltration, so that we can really try to address stormwater in a very meaningful way. The other aspect of the plan that was discussed last night was the bike path alignment. And so what you see northwest of High Road in gray, the gray lines are the existing bike paths. Southeast of the site, underneath the inset graphic, is the trail that comes up behind Whittlesey along the houses.
Yeah, we,
That's a
we
little
kinda-
hidden there with the Graber, but we can pull up another map when we
Yep.
talk about trails a little further.
But what allows this to do is to then offer up a connection from basically the missing link between those two trail sections. And it would be a combination of a paved path where we have it in the buffer area, but then there also is a section to make that connection where we have to use a boardwalk. And so that would be a boardwalk spanning across a portion of that wetland area. The dotted line would be the boardwalk section.
Okay.
Yep. So when we hit the wetlands, we're going to transition to boardwalks to try to minimize the impacts on the wetlands. On the west side of the plat, as we approach Graber Pond, just to give a little bit of history on the site, Misty Valley Road, as it comes south into the site, there's actually utilities in the farm field today that were put in place when the neighborhood to the north was developed. So there's an easement corridor and a pipe there that does have utilities in them. So that led to that alignment, which led to then the zoning requirement for a 100-foot lot to the west of it, which puts our buffer at the closest point from Graber Pond wetlands at about 83 feet. That's something we're going to try to look at to see, can we get that out to the 100 feet that's desired? But it's beyond that closest point, which is really only about 150 feet of lot frontage. The balance of the lots are going to be significantly further back than 100 feet. We are any between 200 feet to 300 to 400 feet along Graber Pond.
It's just 5 or 6 lots that are.
About 4 lots on a pie shape that are at about 83 feet. Again, we're looking at that right now to see if we could just scooch it a little bit over. We'd like to try to get to that 100, but we're trying to do what we can.
Steep.
The zoning requires 100 feet. And so what it would end up doing would be have an easement on the backyard, a no-mow easement. Our concern about that is that we've seen that implemented and then people's mowers get aggressive over the years. We don't want that to happen either. So again, we're going to try to see what we can do to scoot those lots to the east to get to that 100-foot setback from the wetlands. But again, quite a bit of additional land is going to be put into that buffer area along that frontage. So overall, right now, we're looking at about 173 single-family homes with a span of price points and formats with the utilities and infrastructure to support that. But in terms of the open space pieces of this, we're very excited about what it can offer to bring those two components of Graber Pond and Pheasant Branch Conservancy and have that corridor connected.
So thank you very much for that.
I've got the
And-
similar map that shows the connection
Oh,
to the
yeah,
Pheasant
thanks.
Branch Greenway down here. So you can see on the air photo below, there's a path that runs past Stormwater Pond, past our Pheasant Branch Ridge, or to our Pheasant Branch Ridge Park. And there is a city-owned area
Oh,
here
that one.
that would provide a connection to the Ziegler.
Kevin,
Parcel,
who
yeah.
owns that piece of land between the path and.
This one here.
Yes.
Hey, Mark.
That one is a defunct LLC, so it's a part of the homeowners association or the neighborhood south of the Ziegler property. So it's
The
a
neighborhood owns it.
defunct LLC that it has ownership of that parcel that you're in question of.
Developers LLC.
Yeah. And then,
Okay, so it's
but-
not city property.
no,
Is it in the town of Middleton?
it's in the city. It's in the city, but it's not
So-
city ownership.
And so Viridian piece that used to be in the town of Middleton that goes.
That is all going into the city.
Okay.
Yes, we've filed for annexation of the entire parcel, so both the town of Middleton and the town of Springfield components are going to come into the city. A lot of benefits from that, but yes, we're not leaving that little orphan piece behind, even though it's not that it's not part of the development.
And then just to kind of follow up from them, I wanted to go through some of the other pieces that were on the packet and the staff memo that's presented to you guys, and then deliberation, and Susan, you can kind of direct the conversation there. But so tonight, what Plan Commission had referred this preliminary plat to you all to CLC for feedback. And so Plan Commission is asking for feedback in the form of a motion that would go to their upcoming meeting. It is going to Parks, Rec and Forestry. It's gone to sustainability. It's going to be going to streets and water for those committees, commissions to review as well. With that, I've also shared public comment from the public hearing that was held last night for the rezoning, as well as Friends of Pheasant Branch letter that highlighted some pieces to this project that they wanted for review. And then Adaptive Restoration is one of our consultants that we work very closely with on a lot of our Conservancy land properties. They had offered up comments in addition to the Graber master plan. So the Graber master plan from 2006. I want to make sure that year, 2006. So they had provided some input that highlights this development in there. We are working through a Graber master plan update that will be coming out in about approximately February of 2025. So that master plan will provide more input to Graber Pond and the Conservancy in that area. And then, okay. And then what we have included for our documents is we have a planning memo from Mark, and Mark is also here from our planning department. He can answer questions as well. And then the zoning submittal preliminary plat that was submitted on September 13th, the concept alternate 2, which you're looking at right now, the environmental assessment of the Ziegler property. It's a full environmental assessment, quite lengthy, but we can we can touch on things if you're looking for something specific. And then the Graber Greenway map, which I think we'll try to show and highlight that Graber Greenway, which is located and depicted on this map in a smaller subset. The Graber Greenway that's been identified by staff as a corridor, Greenway corridor. And then the Graber master plan that I referred to in 2006, and then Graber hydrological study and management plan as well. So those 8 documents are attached to this. I know that's a lot to read through in a few days time. So we're just trying to highlight that there's a lot into this project, our development that affects wetland, our conservancy, our watershed, and public lands surrounding this area. So with that, I'm going to go through the memo that I have prepared, and hopefully then it'll give some direction for conversation tonight. That's lovely, but so I'll try to speak up here. We have 4 items that we're kind of looking at, policy items. So if you want to pull up my memo, and
I just
Yes.
want clarification.
yeah,
So Susan, I think you asked about that little piece of land. It's labeled Conservancy here, but you said it was LLC.
Oh, this is a concept plan for the
Yeah.
Graber Greenway.
it's not all owned by city. This isn't all owned by city. This green highlight basically is highlighting a greenway. If it was owned by various property owners, it just creates a corridor for watershed and wildlife. That kind of
Love the concept.
Is
Just
that-
wondering, is this like what we're open for?
it was more of like, it was developed a while back as a not a hope.
I don't, did it appear in the strategic plan for the city? Is that where this?
I think, Jim, since it's such a wetland, that's part of probably why the LLC is sort of defunct. It's not really developable even. They would have to do a tremendous amount of drainage and or infill or something like that to put a structure on it.
Mhm.
So hopefully we can convince them to just donate the land to the city and take a nice tax deduction.
Yeah,
Okay,
but we're,
just
that piece,
That's a side
we,
issue.
yeah, we don't need to discuss that one, in length tonight, just with time. But the 4 policy issues that I wanted to bring up are land dedication and initial conditions of land dedication. That's a component of, requirement for developers to either, dedicate land, open space land, or, pay a fee in lieu of. So that can be a part of our discussion tonight. Private stormwater outlets, that's always something we have been looking at with Conservancy lands and Parks Rec Forestry is, private stormwater. If there was land dedicated, how we would want to handle that. Greenways, that's been a topic that, we'll discuss as well, and trail and path connectivity and alignment. So those 4 items, just starting with land dedication. I guess, actually, if you want to run to or go back to the map, Kevin, that it'll be better if you can kind of follow your mouse with my recommendation, the area. It might seem a little wordy, but I tried to pare it down as much as possible here, to be clear. For the land dedication, developer to dedicate land for public conservancy to the city from west edge of property line along Graber Pond to include 100-foot buffer from the edge of the wetland bordering Graber Pond, approximately 150 feet of frontage along Graber Road, public access to Misty Valley Drive. So what we're kind of talking about here is a dedication to the city, that is highlighted behind the lots, but it would include 100.
Basically, yeah.
Is that the dark green or?
No, it's the from the property line. So Kevin, from the property line.
Yeah, so property line
Yeah,
here, the dark green represents delineated wetland.
oh,
The lighter green strip is 75 feet of buffer in this,
Yep.
in this diagram. And then you have flats, you have additional land in this top corner, if you will. You have land down here, and then you have
Private
stormwater that would the
It'd be
residences there.
private stormwater. So we're looking at everything from the property line to include a 100-foot buffer based off of the Graber master plan that was endorsed by CLC.
Just a 100-foot buffer between the property line and the wetlands.
No,
from the wetland.
Ponds.
It would be a 100-foot buffer from
Oh.
the edge of the wetland.
yeah,
Okay,
So currently, this right here where I'm running my mouse is
75.
75. So Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, 100 would come into like these 3 or 4.
Yeah, that's the pitch point. That's
Okay.
the area we're looking at to see if we can get that kind of to refit.
So
and then
can I ask? So I walked that area with Kevin this summer, when we were talking about the Graber master plan. And there's a drainage divide, there's a watershed divide. And I'm wondering where that falls, so.
So-
Do those lots drain toward Graber Pond, or do they drain on the other way?
I
So
think I-
right now, the ridge goes roughly north-south from the end of Misty Valley straight south, and then it bends a little bit to the east. So you kind of see in the
You get some
topo there.
contours there.
Yeah, there's contours, a little hard to see, but if you go right below the numbers and the lower, those are the parcel identification numbers, but if you go below the number 8
Yeah,
and then head north and kind of bend to the west and then bend
Yeah.
back to Misty Valley. On the north side of that, most of that area land actually drains to the east.
right,
As you go south, that there's a portion that does drain to the west. That's why we have a stormwater management facility located there to treat that water before it is released.
So that would go back towards Graper Pond.
Yes.
So, yeah,
I'm happy to share a watershed map.
Who is?
That's Wade and
Wade is our civil engineer
uh,
with Wise.
I think we have a watershed.
And I don't know if it would make sense for me to go through this whole recommendation and then everybody to ask questions, so I can just get through all the pieces kind of to.
Yeah, I think we maybe need to, since we've got time constraints for David.
Just for a staff, a full staff recommendation and then questions.
We have a quorum after 6:45 too, so.
But so David can at least know.
Or be more part of it.
Wade, if you can share your screen and you want to share a watershed map.
Yeah, if it helps, I'm happy to share my screen here.
I also have exhibit E in the environmental assessment, if that helps.
Mhm.
So I think the questions, if I was following along correctly, were the watershed breakout for the areas west of High Road here. And you can see the stormwater management facilities, each of these letters represent areas that drain to the different stormwater management facilities. So you can kind of see the grade break and the difference in how this lot would drain this way, and A2 would drain directly into the pond, and B would drain to the northeast corner. So this gives you a general guidance on how the areas broke out.
so the area A.
Or-
That drains to A2 or to the facility.
Yes.
That's right on the border of A2. And curious how many lots are in, you showed a tier of.
Oh, I'd have to go back to the map and count them to roughly split it out.
The west side is roughly 85 lots.
Yeah.
Give or take, and then split up somewhat proportionally here.
About a third.
Yeah,
About a
what I'm
third.
trying to get a handle on is how many lots drain toward Graber Pond versus how many drain toward
High
High
Road.
Road.
Probably, I mean, again, just a rough estimate, around 25 to 30 lots,
Actually, probably say fewer than that.
maybe fewer. Yeah, it's,
Because it's just that southwest.
yeah, it's just that southwest corner that would.
side. Here. Ones up there are gonna go more. that
Yeah,
way.
those will go to the east, but you can see in that section A,
Yeah, you can see that the east line, the line between A and C, that's the divide, the drainage divide there,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, so west
There you
of
go.
this line gets there, east of this line goes back towards High Road.
And is some of that drainage going into storm sewers and then into the detention pond? Since.
Yeah.
Because part of those houses are on a street.
Yeah, all the stormwater runoff from these streets and these houses gets treated by this facility here.
Thanks.
Then where's that overflow if there's a big flood like 2018?
in terms of,
Where does that water go if it's filling up from a massive, massive flood?
so there'd be a part, the blue lines, so the area to the west would continue to contribute to the Graber Pond watershed. And then east would go to the High Road and across High Road.
They're meant for.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm thinking of this in terms of the Middleton Hills ponds.
Mhm.
So those, if they really overflow, go into the storm sewer and into Pheasant Branch Creek. So these would overflow and go into Graber Pond,
Yes,
which would then overflow.
And
go
come
through
up
Mr.
and around
Brown.
and back.
Okay.
Correct, yes,
That's what-
yeah, that's the overflow.
I think I'm just gonna get through all of this, which is a lot
And then
of
take
questions.
questions.
Or like, then that way, we can get through, I'm just gonna go through all of this.
Okay.
And then, so that kind of highlights the dedication piece and trying to have that outlot piece that kind of goes in between the lots to roadway C, making sure somewhere along Misty Valley Drive, there's an access way in. I think that's really important for connectivity with walkability, pedestrian. It also is gonna, my understanding is it would serve as a maintenance easement for that stormwater. And so but the developer, we are also looking at having the developer dedicate wetlands east of High Road to the city for public conservancy. So wetlands on that side as well. And then with all of this land dedication to have the developer develop an invasive species management plan prior to dedication of any public lands for conservancy. The management plan will require city approval. So that's land dedication, what we're looking at. It's kind of the piece by Graber and then the wetlands between High Road and Pheasant Branch for city public land, conservancy public land. And then just to highlight stormwater, private stormwater. So private stormwater facilities, we're only seeing one on here that would overlay with or be very close or within the public land dedication, which is over by Graber and what we've been kind of talking about. That private stormwater facility would not be allowable or allowed on public land. It would be its own outlot and have a management plan for invasive species management for that stormwater.
The neighborhood association would be responsible for.
Yep, and then would be executed and funded by the development annually. The management plan would require city approval for that. So that just helps out with our invasive species management in that entire area. If it were to be developed or dedicated, and I think that would be a really good bonus to all that neighborhood and selling of those lots. A lot of people are going to want to live by Graber Pond on those lots, and if we can manage it in a way with native landscaping and help keep that connecting into Graber Pond and Misty Valley, how we're managing those pieces as well. And then to highlight on the third issue, greenways, the staff is looking to have developers create a greenway or green alleyway between lots to allow for trail easement between roadway A and C and roadway C and Graber Road. This would help connect Graber Pond with the wetlands east of High Road and create a green wildlife corridor directly to Pheasant Branch Conservancy. I think that I know that this was talked about last night and recommended last night. I think that there are a few issues with lot size and feasibility within that. But I think as
Clarify that, so.
yeah. So a greenway.
That's where Kevin moved the
Kinda
mouse
like
were
an
right now.
alley, but would it be a green alley between the homes?
Right now, it's just lot line to lot line,
Yeah.
so it's each backyard develops each backyard.
Yeah.
Also,
So-
the Plan commission is saying to have smaller lots and a greenway area there.
I don't know that the plan commission hasn't said that, but it was just discussed at public comment, but we can,
Oh, public.
you guys can talk about it a little bit more. I'm just gonna keep trucking here.
Yeah.
The green alleys would include pedestrian access to connect Graber trails and just connectivity with trails through that. And then moving on to our fourth and final policy issue is trail path connectivity and alignment. So you might, or help me out here, Kevin. The developer should be expected to complete as a part of its infrastructure the missing gap in the regional path that is envisioned to connect Keneal Trail. So Keneal Trail is up I'm on the
Yeah.
opposite end. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, and I'm gonna show.
this-
Yeah, 42 here.
Oh, there it is.
We can bounce back and forth. So Keneal Trail based, or to connect Keneal Trail with, in the Misty Valley neighborhood, subdivision with the Pheasant Branch Ridge, the Outlot 1 that runs through Outlot 1, the trail behind Pheasant Branch Ridge Park.
So that will connect our existing path to Pheasant Branch Ridge Park that we saw in the other diagram. Obscured by this, if you remember.
And then developer also to ensure regional trail would have connections, additional connector paths leading to and from east lots as well as across High Road to align with C or roadway A to connect trail path network around Graber Pond and connect west lots. So this one isn't shown on here. So we do have the east lots connecting to the regional trail, but I think also having a trail connecting so the neighborhood and the walkability of anybody in the west lots could also access that trail system, I think is important, and especially if we do a different trail through the wetlands, up the wetlands on Graber Pond or around Graber Pond there, that people would have access kind of to loop around the neighborhoods there. And then developer would provide public pedestrian access off of Misty Valley Drive into open space through an easement or outlot. Align public access easement outlet with a green alleyway potentially. And that would be a trail easement to connect across High Road to the regional path.
Definitely, yep.
So just making sure that there's access from, can I have the mouse really good? So sorry. Just making sure that there's an access way here, somewhere through here, approximately with this, that it would connect up to roadway C or the alleyway or roadway A. Just so that if anyone is in this neighborhood or in this neighborhood and wants to walk to Graber Pond in that direction, you kind of have a looped trail system through there. And it could be a connection with sidewalks as well. It doesn't need to be, it could be connection with sidewalk as well, but and then developer to provide an upland path connection between Graber Pond and Savannah and Misty Valley, thus eliminating the need for a boardwalk along Graber Pond.
So here's the uplands, the Graber Pond Savannah. Currently, there's a very steep slope that goes down this hill, and then we have boardwalk from probably this point here that hugs the property line and meets up with the Misty Valley path here. So proposal would be to bring the trail from the Savannah through the uplands,
Not through the stormwater, but somewhere else there.
somewhere through this area and meet up somewhere up here with the Misty Valley.
Is that a developer expense, you're asking?
Yep, we're looking at all all of the trail system to be at developer expense. That's our recommendation. And then for any boardwalk segment, so the dotted line or any boardwalk segment, we would like to see that helical piles be required for their specification, construction specification. And then for any trail not on public land, an easement would be preferred to a land dedication. So those is a lot. That's a lot. That's 2 pages of things. So that was
Easement would be preferred to a land dedication for what?
for any trail. If there was a trail, say there was this trail and this was on public land, or this was on public land, or I mean, I'm sorry, excuse me, if this trail was on private land, or any trail system that ran through on private land, we would like an easement to be for maintenance of that trail system.
Yeah. So the
First,
city could maintain it,
so the city would maintain the trail
but they
system.
wouldn't own the land that the train the trail is on.
Correct. It would be a trail maintenance easement. But that's kind of, but
Kylie, I can show you the things that I like about it, and
or yeah, the group, you guys are now at,
and I'm saying this from experience having lived in Middleton Hills, where we've got those stormwater detention ponds, that there are quite a few residents do not realize they're stormwater detention ponds. I have had some nasty notes on next door because I called them detention ponds. I think they're just nice, beautiful ponds, which is really actually very good. And I can see that that would happen here also with where things are going.
they're definitely gonna have stormwater. I mean,
Yeah,
a part
well,
of their
this is-
development, I'm
I
not
don't
sure
know
what
if
you're
you're-
asking.
What I'm saying, are you familiar with the wetland ponds in Middleton Hills? They're stormwater detention facilities.
Yeah,
They're inner circles.
Yeah.
And the residents think of them as just natural area ponds, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking you do want a trail going through here and up this roadway.
and did Kevin just follow her for anybody that's online, so
Yeah,
they know what?
And
she's-
then and especially up roadway C, since there's already a space here.
It just depends on if anything changes,
Yeah.
if that outlet moves in any direction, as long as there's access in, the trail could go up to I don't know. If things
that's
change,
safe.
we just wanna have access.
Right.
What?
I would say wherever this space is, it needs to be with a roadway. But what I'm thinking is, this is a connection all the way through and then over to here, where it can go. Would be a very good way. And then certainly moving this up, into this area would be
Yeah,
of interest.
and that, yep, and that's,
And I personally, and this is coming from a resident, would not want something going up the back of these. I think it's getting to be too much for the residents there. They don't need quite that many trails with the roads
Yeah,
and so on.
I agree. If that's a green space for water running and whatnot, I mean, that's certainly one conversation. A path that people could walk on behind people's homes, that would be, I think we'd have to really look at that.
Yeah, I think people residents would object to having that, and I don't see that it's needed to.
Kyle, you want us to comment on how this might impact green space and conservancy lands and so forth? They don't want us to redesign the roadways, do they, or?
no.
What's they ask for this?
The ask for this committee is Plan Commission wants your feedback on the submitted plat. And just so they can move forward in the direction that they would go to a final plat. But everything I listed out is on my memo recommendation. Maybe starting with like some of that to adjust and edit. I'm totally open just as a starting point. So trying to make a motion with a recommendation that would include land dedication, initial conditions, private stormwater outlet, anything to do with greenways, or leave or add that in. It sounds like maybe we're talking about greenways right now, and that might not be something through as recommended that you guys are not looking at.
Yeah, I don't see the need to put the greenways between the lots. It just. I think the developer would probably be happier. I think the homeowners would be happier.
What is everybody else's thoughts on greenways between?
I understand.
Yeah,
I just
greenway
totally get
here.
it, yeah.
Not to put those in.
Right.
And plan commission, there's somebody suggesting it or.
Well, I think
comments.
the conversation that I heard regarding this at the planning commission was a lot due to potential loss of wildlife corridors between the Graber Pond, Conservancy, and the Pheasant Ranch. And that was the reason for the request.
Yeah,
I don't think they're going to find that, and I'm again going to talk about Middleton Hills. We have a deer issue of, I've had deer eating my strawberry plants out of a raised bed on a concrete driveway. The deer will come in. The raccoons will come in. The pheasants will come in. I don't think that's going to be an issue. It's probably going to be residents are going to get irritated
I,
having their strawberries eaten.
I agree with Susan. I've seen where they have put trails through and then the neighbors get upset about this and they end up putting up fences.
Yeah.
And so now you're not walking through a trail, you're walking through a tunnel and it loses all appeal.
Yeah, I think
No.
that's,
Guess what?
When they were talking about for Greenway too a little bit, or was more mentioned, as they could look into it, I don't know, is above at the top of the lot line. There's like that little, and extending that through, that's the only other spot I felt like would be.
in terms of the wildlife, I don't think the greenways
I'm
are
just
an
gonna,
issue because the wildlife are going to go where they want to go.
Yep.
And the rest of it is, these are greenways for people. And I don't think it's needed.
I just have to head out, but I guess my parting statement simply would be, I support the overall general development idea and that, we're sure that we have connectivity of our trail systems through the development, you know, so we don't disrupt that process.
Right.
How we get how we get those trails in place, you know, I guess to be determined more down the road. And secondly, I just broadly speaking, again, that whatever we do will continue to be in the best interest of the management of the stormwater and the runoff through that neighborhood. So wouldn't want us to create things that are going to be more disruptive to any such process. And
I
the
think-
plan here
I
is
agree
to
with
handle
you.
all of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
stormwater on site, is that right? I mean,
Yeah.
you've got a lot of wetlands, and everything that you've left intact. I mean, I think that's really commendable. And there is a greenway along the bike path, right? That you show on that map and the inset in the lower right.
So there's a bike path that goes, or a multi-use path that comes up from Keneal.
Yeah.
And then down here it meets up with Boardwalk property
Mhm.
line.
That's a greenway though, right? I mean, it's, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty nice one.
And that greenway looks a little more open with the road being at the top of the property. I know Public Works it definitely is gonna have an opinion on the road alignment. But something that could be weighed in is also just the if anything, not so much the road alignment, but just the greenway connection that supports where the road would be.
So
So,
Kylie, are you talking about for roadway D?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, I strongly want to go this way. It's very right across.
Okay, and and it sounds like everybody is, I'm just trying to get, or make sure I can get a motion prepared for you guys.
Well, let us finish.
But
doing
no,
all our
like, no,
parts.
no, I'm not like prepared, but I'm just trying to say that the greenways, that section 3 on, that was something that didn't seem supportive by the group. On
Greenway, where's-
the memo, you could go up to the memo. I'm sorry, I give you numbers, that would be super nice.
Don't have any extra paper copies of your memo, do I?
I do.
Health.
One of those, quite know if technology is gonna work, so you kind of.
Thanks.
Every time I went down a couple of pages, it's totally crashed.
So, just go to number 3. please. So that greenway kind of recommendation seems like something that you guys aren't,
Delete A.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
So delete A. What about B? That goes
think
with A,
that-
so that
That's,
goes with A.
Yeah,
no, well, not quite.
where with the alley.
Yeah, well, maybe it does.
Yeah, or that one was intended to go with A.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Delete all
Yeah.
of the greenways.
Alleys would include.
And you're not putting alleys between the lots.
except for,
There's one on.
There is an alley. there
Except
is-
for that one
Yeah.
there.
Yep, a true alley over on the east side.
Oh.
Yeah.
oh.
I think
That's,
if we think of these as greenways,
that's
the
not,
question is, do they have a greenway for plantings or a trail? Would be the question, so.
right,
Yeah, and we're talking about the equivalent of a Middleton Hills alley between all the houses. It could be used as a greenway or just lots backing up to each other, like a standard city block.
and I think if you're gonna have a greenway, it needs to be fairly. I don't
Like
think
30
You can afford to give up
yeah,
The
35,
back
50
end of
foot
all of those lots.
greenway.
Correct, we can't. Yeah.
And I don't think it's,
For reference, those lots are 105 feet deep. The
Yeah.
minimum lot depth for the zoning code is 100.
okay.
So
You don't-
there's not a lot of extra
So you
space.
just
I
step up
think a
your deck.
greenway would be a mistake.
Yes.
Yes.
just trying to get good. Yeah,
If you would
okay.
like a motion right now.
No, I don't want a motion. I think I'm just trying to get it like pared down,
Yeah,
so that,
Across 3, yeah.
yeah, yep.
Can I ask, what's the scale on here? So like how wide and how,
do you mean?
north, south?
So there is a scale in the bottom corner. I'd have to pull up my
Mm.
tape measure, measure it. So each of these blocks are 110 feet deep. They're 60-foot right of ways.
Yeah.
So
And how wide are the
So it's
lots?
like a quarter of a mile, east and west, yeah.
yeah, it's
Okay.
about a 48. This is about, on the east side is about a 40-acre parcel.
Yeah.
Um,
It
The
just
whole thing is
seems,
84 acres.
okay.
How
It
wide
just
are the
seems like
lots?
since,
They vary from 31 feet wide on an alley to almost, what do we have? Almost 70 feet wide with a street access garage.
Those are equivalent to Middleton Hills.
Yes, very much so.
these are seventies.
They range. So these are 70s here. This color is 65.
Oh.
The next color classification here are they're a little hard to read on this print. They're 59s and then
Oh.
51s.
Oh,
So they range, the front load lots range from 51 feet wide to 70 feet wide.
And what's the side distance from the building to the lot line?
Side lot, yeah, the side yard setbacks would be 5 feet.
So that could be tight. Yeah, people are going to want their backyards.
So I feel like the greenway,
Yeah.
yeah,
the
it seems
greenway.
like since there's that bike path right up above, and this isn't a very big area, that should be adequate, for
Yeah.
access and then you've got a couple of nice streets here, I think, so,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't see a need for that one at all.
Um,
And the bigger thing is just that
hundreds.
the
Yes, they're 100.
stormwater
Yep.
is going to Graver Pond on one side and the rest will be going.
so if you guys are, wanna focus in maybe on the, stormwater piece then,
Yeah.
that's on the recommendation. Can you scroll up just a little bit here?
Stormwater.
And this is tied to the land dedication, so
Mhm.
if there is land dedication on the east lots or west lots, I'm sorry. I'm getting my directions, but on the west lots, then between Graber and those lots, if that area is dedicated public land, then just noting that that stormwater facility wouldn't be on that stormwater would be up an outlot
On private land.
on a private outlot. It wouldn't be set on public land. I think that's really important
Yeah, right.
for land dedication for all development.
Yes. So all the stormwater that they will be putting in will be on private land and will be maintained by the developer neighborhood association or something.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Just to note that is, I think it's always important with development based off of our last one as well too.
No, and that goes with what the city's been doing with other places.
And then we had a management, like a management, I also recommended a management plan if that stormwater facility is around dedicated land that, that it would have a management plan that's cohesive or, with all the invasive species management along Graber. I think that's really important. If you have a piece that's chunked out and treated differently, a lot of times residents will come and be like, why is that? They always think the city is like at fault
So
for it.
Kylie, you're talking management plan for the vegetation,
Or the stormwater.
well, or for, I guess what I'm seeing this piece of land being used for stormwater. And there's two different kinds of management. One is the actual water management and then the vegetation that goes around it.
And the water management will be handled not by, not
See, I'm also on
by Conservancy Lands Committee, like the
Right.
water
stormwater.
resources.
Yeah,
It'll have to go through water resources.
yeah, so it'll be there to talk a little, I'm not gonna get into that as. a
Okay,
staff
so you're talking
recommendation.
more about the plants.
Yep, and the management of the invasive species, kind of the vegetation,
Vegetation.
that would be within that outlot. And so, this number two, Kevin's just kind of taking notes there, trying to get, how comfortable does everybody feel with, number two recommendation? Do you want to see anything different? Cross anything out?
You have to define when it says for the stormwater outlet, does that mean this big swath down here that's labeled wetlands too?
No,
No,
that's
No,
not,
that's Conservancy land, right?
it would be,
These little spots that say
It's the
stormwater
little blue.
and the yellow ones,
Yep.
which I assume is a dry area that can fill up if it gets too much.
Yes.
it could be anything that, like any
Yeah.
stormwater that they need for the development. Anywhere, and we're just kind of making a really broad stroke in case this development does change or land dedication and stuff, that it's set up for success with private stormwater, right?
Yeah.
You
This area is wet already.
Yeah, I got
got it, I'm sorry.
I think I understand, but around Graber Pond. So this would become Conservancy land. This would become Conservancy, and the 100 buffer would, whatever falls within that
75.
would be Conservancy land, right?
We are looking at all of it.
Oh,
Conservancy
everything from the
land,
back
but
of the lots.
There would have to be there would have to be an
With
outlot
something for the stormwater.
and maybe an outlet for that, or an easement.
It's the trail connection.
They have an easement or vice versa. That, however, that would be either outlet easement, and then that would be outlet.
Yeah.
I'm just,
Okay,
but
thanks.
that it could pertain to anything if it changed too.
Mhm.
For that private stormwater outlet, like number two, does everybody feel comfortable, or how
Yeah,
how
Yep.
is that?
I like that you put vegetation management so that it's clear on, because depending on who you're talking to, yeah, within this committee, vegetation makes sense. As soon as it goes over to water resources, they're going to be thinking in a very different way. Same thing with public works. I've served on all these committees, so
Yeah,
that's why I'm
Sure.
aware of how they're going to think about it.
so likewise in this area. So,
On the east side,
yeah.
Yep.
So all the wetlands are gonna be Conservancy land.
well, they're wetlands right now.
Yeah,
And they are a part of the development. It would be a request from your committee if you wanted them to be dedicated public land for Conservancy.
right.
Yes.
Oh, so that's something we have to
Yeah,
put into
yeah.
our motion.
Yep,
If I could offer a little bit of a complication on that.
Okay,
That is the seller's agreement. There is, the way they're currently structured, an opportunity they may retain the wetlands to the east. Now, we're intent on zoning them.
so they can go
conservancy.
hunting,
We're not sure what they want to do with it.
because they hunt there.
And I feel like if you get to a point where you just make a recommendation and it's a contingency, we can figure that out. But I did note that.
Yep, I just wanted to raise it because I didn't want to,
I know, that's,
we understand the intent, but we're happy to zone them conservancy. We see that as all undevelopable land. And
Right.
That's appropriate zoning to at least clear that.
hunting there, and residents are aware when they're out there hunting.
Yeah.
We have the same thing with the Esser.
But that's gonna get annexed.
Yes.
And once it gets annexed, it's in the city limits.
Yep.
And I believe in the city of Middleton, there is no discharge of firearms.
That could be the problem.
But there could also be, so if they're not dedicated lands, Kevin was mentioning, and there's different ways to do this, but that it would be like vegetation management to the city or if to the Friends or something like, so like conservation, yeah.
Right,
But-
I understand, and I mean, kind of prefer that. But
What David's saying is,
as far as,
this is city land. Right now, it's town of Middleton land.
It will, but yeah,
And so they can do whatever they
it's
want.
not Middleton land, so they can hunt on
Yes, but if that
Those
gets
things-
annexed into the city,
it.
city ordinances take effect.
Yep.
And that would prevent it.
Well,
And that's something that you guys have to work out with your seller.
we'll need to have a conversation with them.
Yeah.
Several, in fact, but
And so
I just
I
wanted to
think-
raise that issue.
And that would be one where the seller, if they absolutely want to keep that hunting land, they wouldn't sell that to you.
The other thing is, I mean,
You know, that's what I could see happening.
I don't know what'll happen directly north of there or anything else, but pretty quickly, we're in a fairly tight quarters. And I am not a hunter, so someone else can chime in on this one, but
No,
I certainly would not want to discharge a weapon where the projectile could easily hit a house.
I
Yeah,
would agree that once Red Tail Ridge gets developed, this gets developed. You're gonna be hard pressed to have a safe range.
Not to mention how many deer are gonna wanna be in there unless there's some corn nearby.
There's another aspect, relative to the trails I just wanted to discuss. It might not fully be for this body, but just, the cost and how Meridian had intended to broach that and park fees and whatnot. The boardwalk section, of course, will be very expensive.
Yes.
There's a helical pile option with composite or wood. Need to confer with Brian and Wade relative to how that would be viewed by the DNR for the wetland impact portion of it. Obviously, wood and composite have different cost components.
I will say Middleton Hills has that for
Okay.
their wetland area. It was initially boardwalk that was just on something wood going down in it. And then finally, after about 20 years, was replaced with helical piles.
Okay.
Yep.
And then if we do extend the trail network as is discussed tonight, just funding that on top of the boardwalk, we would, again, we've talked with Parks about this, just how that would be funded potentially through park fees or some other mechanism there, because Viridian's ability to put all those trails in it's a lot. And we're, of course, want to make this work, and that's why we're here tonight, but as we look to expand and dedicate all these conversations, just the financial aspect of it as well, obviously is very important to us and how we can make this work so everyone's happy with the end product.
That's why I like that, just the one little trail going back over to roadway C
Yeah,
and the boardwalk connecting to what's already there,
Yeah.
getting people to the main conservancy.
Okay.
I think is a good solution.
Picked a really challenging spot.
It is.
Yes.
It's,
And we haven't even talked about reconstruction of High Road yet. No, just kidding.
We're certainly gonna put that in. More lanes.
you guys are going to get hit with reconstructing.
Not all, no,
Not all.
there'll be, there, it is but it's another complication, to be honest.
Yes.
Yeah,
I know
because
there
I
are
think,
lots of people that want it reconstructed.
I think
Yes.
Kurt was right that it's a 1.75 lane road.
Yeah.
1.75.
Yeah, it does.
So yeah, I didn't want to, divert, of course, but that was.
No, but that's helpful.
Yeah,
I
so
don't,
thank you.
I did, have you measured that? I mean, it feels like it's like 20 foot.
High road itself?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, it depends on what section you
Yeah, I bet.
measure, because
It
the curve
varies.
is kind of, or the shoulder's kind of,
Iffy.
And there's such a break when it goes from city to
Yeah.
the county and stuff.
So
Okay.
are we okay with one as is?
I think so.
Yes.
That's basically what we've been talking about. You
Yeah.
guys still come.
Yes.
I think the one thing again we'd raise is under B, there may be challenges to be able to dedicate that.
Do we? What are the pluses and minuses of having it dedicated as opposed to easement or something?
I feel like we'd love to see it dedicated as public land. I think, easement is an option. But it does come with contingencies sometimes.
Whoops, sorry.
Really, the city wants to really make that a green corridor up there. It's nothing like having control of it to do that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll grant you that.
we would prefer dedication.
For the wetlands,
Yeah.
for the wetland
It
area.
helps to discuss that.
But
Yeah.
maybe there is an option of, there's another option, but I think when we're really approached with what that looks like, then it could come back to CLC for discussion.
Sure.
Well, let's put it in as dedication, and then if it needs to come, they can ask to have that dedication
Yeah.
changed.
I think we agree with that, and I just think about the corridor that goes along Pheasant Branch, and in places that's really narrow. But, when maintained correctly, it's really beautiful, and it does connect green spaces, and you could think of the same thing kind of heading north up there, so that would be a really good facet of this development.
Yeah, I just say I very strongly support dedicating this as Conservancy land, especially the east area, but also the around Graber. As part of the Friends Restoration and Management Committee, we've walked the land with the Zieglers. We've talked with them many times. We've got an idea of things that could be done to restore wetlands in that area. And the way to do it would be if it's Conservancy land in the
Yeah.
city. That would be the best.
So we want to just say, we want to have it dedicated.
And the only thing that I missed on here, for B, for developer to dedicate wetlands east of High Road to the city for public conservancy is, if there was any buffer. We put the buffer in the one, Graber Pond because it was recommended by, there's usually a 75-foot buffer, around wetlands that's like Carp C recommends, as an environmental corridor, or not environmental corridor. What am I?
And should those buffers be private land or city land, or does it matter?
That's up to you guys to
It-
discuss, but it's something.
In my opinion, it should be part of the Conservancy. It does not make any sense to draw the line right at the wetland and say you're protecting the wetland.
Wetland
At
is going to
75
change.
feet, in some cases, I mean, ideally, in this area, I would have loved to see, everything that drains to Graber Pond be part of a public dedication for conservation.
The thing is with
I can see
wetlands,
that's not happening.
wetlands will change as to whether they're wet or dry, depending on the weather.
And our
So
restoration plans, we don't,
That's the problem.
we don't stop at the wetland
Yeah,
border. We're
right.
always restoring prairie around it.
Yeah.
And so,
So I think it needs to maybe, one of the problems on here is you've got stormwater features that the development will own. So we just need a clear boundary around those.
Yeah, so the stormwater basins where they abut the Conservancy lands will have their own parcel. So that will clearly delineate that. I think the idea of a management plan makes total sense to make sure those work in concert because we want
Right.
that to be just part of the landscape. There are some areas that will be zoned Conservancy. And that'd be a discussion that are outside of the buffer and outside of the wetlands. So I think we've addressed that on the west side. There are some land on the east side. So I think as we get into the nuance of how we draw that line, we'll
Yeah,
try to
that's
craft a
probably-
parcel line that reflects that. That
You
can
need
then
to bring back
have
to us an action that we would prefer the land, wetlands be dedicated to the city. And then just a clear boundary established between stormwater facilities.
Yep.
And that,
And again, those are for conservation purposes.
right.
Right.
And the vegetation would be appropriate. What's in the wetlands for Conservancy would be appropriate around the stormwater too.
Yep.
So that we're not having very distinct kinds of vegetation.
Yeah, we've got a lot of experience of, again, we want in an ideal world, the stormwater basins don't look like rectangles. They just blend into the landscape.
Yes. Trying to work with water resources on doing on the creek corridor and that the creek corridor that goes west of here needs prairie plants in it.
Okay.
All right.
So that kind of, that was the land dedication and initial conditions. We are feeling like you guys touched on all of those that topic. Okay,
So I actually have a phrase to suggest,
Number one.
which you
Tom?
mean, I like for one B.
oh, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's-
go for it.
he added that, but maybe we can edit it.
Well, I
Edit
would
it.
just say an adequate buffer lands instead of putting a number on it.
The only-
Because adequate is, in my mind, anything that's not needed for stormwater should be part of the Conservancy.
It's-
land.
Adequate is gonna be that people.
Kind of a fuzzy word.
Yeah.
It is a fuzzy word.
And the
But-
planning commission's gonna say what is adequate.
Yeah.
So we should say, this is
Oh,
what we want.
Yeah,
so adequate means, in my mind, in the context of this plat, everything that's not needed for stormwater, that is between the wetland and the back lot line.
okay, gotcha. I don't know.
And I'm not sure how to phrase that, but, so in other words, the light green,
But then also some, like this area, oh, jeepers. Where the wooded lot is, I shouldn't be pointing because we got it,
yeah,
people are online.
oh.
This is stormwater.
So what I
That's
would
a
do is
stormwater.
draw a line around the stormwater facilities. And then everything else is Conservancy.
If it's not developed and
If it's not
stormwater,
developed and it's not stormwater, and this is on that side of the road,
the east side.
then the rest is
I'm not
Conservancy.
sure we can draw that precise a line.
Well, you're gonna have to draw a line for the stormwater.
Right, but I'm not,
With.
I guess what I'm hearing is something everywhere where it's wet, you're wanting a line, and I don't know that we can do that because the water levels will be changing.
No,
Depending on the weather.
I'm saying that,
From our side, that's fine.
I'm saying that it's all Conservancy,
Could have,
except what's needed for stormwater and what's platted.
I think that's good
Right, but
language.
I guess I'm trying to define this.
Sounds better than adding.
To describe,
Yeah, I knew that was not an adequate word.
language.
so this is the old layout. And it included areas that were previously for discussion as parks. That's why the PR designation. But effectively, what I think you're saying is, if it's not in a single family residential zoning district.
Yeah.
If it's not in a stormwater management parcel and it's
Got it.
not right of way, you'd like to see it in
Yeah.
Conservancy.
Yeah,
So we just have to update that red.
Yeah, there's a lot that needs to get updated to this, but part of the process is trying
Oh,
to
no,
catch up
no.
our maps.
No,
It
no.
actually makes it easier for you to draw that. because-
Not this, I wasn't saying, yeah, that always is gonna change. I'm talking about the wording.
The wording, yes.
So sorry.
Back to this. Okay, here we are. Developer to dedicate.
Wetlands, east of High
So
Road.
are we gonna say lands? Are we gonna say lands excluding?
Yes, lands excluding private stormwater facilities.
Yes, that would, I would
there you
feel
go.
more comfortable with that.
I like that.
So then we could take out 75-foot buffer.
Exclude input private stormwater.
Yes, private stormwater,
Excluding.
excluding private stormwater
Stormwater
facilities.
facilities and
You got it.
And then delete the red, including a
and
75-foot
platted
buffer.
lots, right?
Oh, no,
No. It's too much.
no, that was good.
And
Well,
Okay,
but everything's a platted parcel, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yep, thank you.
Go.
Platted lots.
As
Um,
residential
residential
parcel,
lots, something.
Platted residential lots.
platted
Residential
residential
lots.
parcels. Yeah. I think that takes care of it.
Yeah,
and we're gonna say east of High Road.
yeah,
Yeah,
great. I feel like if they have questions on that, we can explain it. So with this land, with this land dedication and initial conditions. Conservancy Lands is looking at this first, for sure. So there is a fee in lieu of component with land dedication that will have to be negotiated at more of the plan commission level. That our assessor's been working on. And then also the Parks Rec and Forestry Commission will have to take a look at land. A lot, typically in a development, there's land for a park, active park, neighborhood mini.
this doesn't have that.
It may have, if they may want to look at having that and based off of national standards in our court plan, it may be something that they're gonna be looking at. So just heads up.
Are you okay with that?
Yep,
No, where you wanna be?
he's like.
East of High Road and put it, land after land, dedicate land east of High Road.
oh.
Yes,
I think it just is a lot clearer.
it is.
So just move the east of High Road over above.
Right
Land,
after
land,
land,
right after land.
after land, yeah. There. Yes.
Question on is when we talk to the Zigglers about, you know, the current desire to likely hold this land versus the current desire to have it dedicated. Would naming rights be an option? Like,
Could we call this Ziegler Conservancy? Is that what you're thinking of?
would something like that?
I think we could definitely talk about
Doesn't have
that.
to be a yes, no, is it not a no, I guess is the
Yeah.
best.
I don't think it's a no.
Okay.
That's been done with our fee in lieu of our land dedication with Bell Farms. With and it's written into the developer agreement for naming. And I think
Maintaining that identity, of course, is important to
Sure.
every developer that we deal with in some
Mhm.
capacity, and that.
Yes.
I don't-
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could help get rid of
That's fine
the
with me.
hunting.
we have enough pheasants. We have enough.
Whatever you.
Pheasant ridge.
You know that the ditch that runs through there?
Mhm.
So just to have a word to call things, we started calling it the Western Stream, and then when we started talking with them, we said, well, we could call it the Ziegler Stream.
The Ziegler ditch,
That will help, thank you.
All right, number one, are we good with that?
Okay, tell me to shut up if necessary, but if that's good for the east side, can we use that same approach for the area between Graber Pond and the back lot lines and just make that the same clean way of, if it's not stormwater and it's not
Yeah,
a lot, it's,
I guess my question would be, are the parcels likely to change?
Once we get to the plat, no, but for right now, there's certainly gonna be some back and forth. The one thing I would note, the access from Misty Valley also has to double as an access to the stormwater basin
Yeah.
for maintenance.
Yep.
So there could just be a double use piece of that.
Oh, for sure.
But that otherwise, I think just defining it the same way
Yeah.
as, you know, Conservancy lands.
then we got one approach.
Yeah.
That's consistent.
Just so if we say everything that isn't residential platted and then this plan comes back, not saying it would, but these are doubled in depth. That still is everything except for parcel land, correct?
Yeah, we're not, I mean,
No, yeah, I'm just saying,
I think it's important.
At that 100.
we're not going there. Yeah.
If we had specified that 100-foot buffer. in
Right.
there too, so.
I feel like how we have it worded for this section is something that you guys can definitely discuss, but it's been a part of our plan for that 100-foot buffer. I know it might be something to negotiate, so that's definitely, they have 83, 85 feet is the closest. Some of them are 300 feet.
Yeah.
So it does change, but
The one clarification, the 50 feet of frontage along Graber Road, it actually doesn't get all the way to Graber Road. There's a little sliver of land that's already park space there.
oh yeah.
So I just to clarify that there are, so where that
Oh yeah,
park
it's
sliver
actually.
exists, it's
Yeah.
already owned by the city.
It's
We
not
have
road
taken
frontage.
that and left it open.
are
to
we
the-
talking here?
Yes,
Yeah,
that
it's not
space.
road.
It doesn't
frontage.
have road frontage is the only thing I
Oh,
was
got
mentioning.
it. Okay,
The lot line, that's all.
we need to change the wording in that.
But, oh, just maintaining. I think it
I
was,
think some of that's just gonna fall out
I just
in
wanted to point it out, so that
getting the map done.
Yeah.
So I don't know that we need to. I'm a little concerned that if we put too much detail in on some of this, it's gonna get overinterpreted. Yeah,
and just to be clear too, the parks is going to have a discussion about parkland dedication and what they'd like to see. So, and there are spaces for parks on every development. It's just how to negotiate that. And
Yeah.
so, and it's not for this body to discuss,
yeah,
but
we shouldn't discuss it.
we're not discussing it, yes, but it is to do with that land dedication. It may have some overlap or some implications with the recommendation that you guys have tonight.
Still, we need to provide recommendations. So we're basically through one.
The
2, and
trails.
3. Trail.
Everybody is okay with the one, then I know it's, okay.
Yeah.
The trail
Two,
connection,
we said we were good, or
2 we're okay on.
yeah.
three we're done with?
Yes.
So, A is connectivity from Keneal, Misty Valley to, Whittlesley Road or,
And that we're doing with this red line, basically.
and but we still want to recommend it or.
Yes.
Yeah, we want.
Yeah, we
yeah.
want to recommend that, yes.
That connection is in there, so it connects to recreational space as a part of their ordinance obligation for subdivisions. And then. So B,
B is the one where it's the little,
it's just to have,
that little piece that goes
That's-
from
that little piece or
Over to roadway C. Yeah, connecting roadway C right there. Through the part that's not wetlands.
Oh, yeah.
and it's just to have connectors from the west and east to that regional trail. I think kind of thinking of an X or they did have it in one of their there's one of their versions.
How we take out roadway A?
Yeah, I feel
Because roadway A is going to take it across wetlands.
True, yeah.
So
Yeah, let's
delete
take out
roadway
A.
A. And I think that makes it clear.
and
Yeah.
I left it open. Oh, I left it open for roadway A or C, depending on, I don't think that outlet would change. Or that access into Misty Valley, but I think wherever it lines up, like, where it's lining up right now, but I just wanted to make sure, I mean, even so, like if you had it cross over and people had to drive up there and there was outlet there, or, just.
And I think C would be the best. I know the people that live down there are real concerned about crossing High Road. So,
Rectangular flashing,
What?
rectangular flashing beacons.
yes, they already have them at Keneal Trail.
Okay. And then C, pedestrian access off Misty Valley Drive, line public easement. And then maybe take out a line, so second sentence.
What do you want out?
I think, just to provide public access off Misty Valley Drive into open space through an easement or outlet. I think just to make sure that there's pedestrian access, it might be an outlet, a private outlet that they have to provide us an easement to for public access. Something of that nature, just so that people can get into.
That's like the little gap. that's in
Yeah,
there now.
yeah,
Yep.
just make sure there's
Yeah.
public access for
Well,
that
Yeah, that's
space.
teeny tiny.
They need to get stormwater too.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it just needs to be
And so they could
stated.
serve
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
two could serve the same.
Right.
So you could delete that last sentence.
Yeah.
Everything align on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
For
that's
trail easement to connect across. Regional.
so hard using two mice.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that can be deleted. So I think when we put too much of this detail in, it opens it up to confusing things occurring.
Yep.
Yeah, but
And then if we're we're moving to D, which is creating a path connection through from the Savannah to the, like, basically kind of parallel to the boardwalk on Graber, but on
Yeah,
the
on the light green.
yes, in the light
Oh,
green area.
Yeah, it could be anywhere in the upland here.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I think
then
that's a good idea, because that's going to change and depending on weather. What Graber Pond, how big Graber Pond is.
Well, and how much stormwater we put into it.
Yeah,
and then E was for boardwalk segment, just to have helical piles, part of
yes.
construction specifications. And I think like, I know I was open to wood or, composite. Composite is definitely a lot more expensive,
Yes, it is.
but,
It's easier to maintain.
it, for longer maintenance and that, but I think to keep that open depending on how fees in lieu are, go and that,
I mean, I
but.
think we
And Kylie, the other thing, composite is a whole lot better for people with any mobility issues.
it does get hot.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, but
It
still,
doesn't get slippery and it doesn't.
the other gets
get-
slippery.
It doesn't get lichen growing on it.
You get lichen, and I know that first one in Middleton Hills, before they did the helical piles,
Yeah.
it was. going
Actually,
to-
does
It does.
Well,
does.
and-
Yeah,
and-
I've got a composite deck that has,
Oh.
I have to clean the mold off on a yearly basis.
I mean, I think no matter what, if you have an asphalt trail, if you have an aggregate trail, if you have any kind of a trail, it's gonna require maintenance
Yeah,
on that. And so we are looking at adding maintenance to our operations with this development, right?
But if it's gonna be wood, I don't want it to be just standard, treated timber. There are various
Mhm.
layers of.
There's a
treatment.
lot of specifications that go
And,
into.
and certainly something more than the standard stuff in Menards, because that just delays the process a little bit.
And this will be something that our department, anytime a developer comes in, even if it's a private development, doesn't have this big kind of piece to it. We, as staff, I review all of the trail, like
Right.
all of the trail segments that they have. So we don't have a standard specification for the city. That's something that this body will be presented with in the future, but at least to have,
Kylie, isn't this something we can just sort of wait on and let Conservancy lands determine what it is later? That it doesn't necessarily,
it's not
I
gonna
think
come
we could-
before you.
Yeah, I think we can determine a general city spec at some point
Yeah,
in time.
yeah, but-
something specific to this.
To this project, I think is important because we don't have a city spec.
okay,
Um,
since we don't
and-
have a city spec.
And but we will, just to give them some direction too, and not to get into like entire specification at this meeting. But I think there's a lot to construction more than this, but I think helical piles is really important just so that we have a really good base and, there's a large difference for how that structural foundation can go in,
Yeah.
so.
Helical piles, I say, are definite. What the surface is on the helical piles, maybe.
Yeah, I didn't want to get into that level of,
But yeah, helical piles for sure.
Okay, a little aside here, but.
Yeah.
You've got the boardwalk going up the lot line. Then you've got that piece of trail that is just
missing.
missing. Does it make sense to ask them to
Where is that?
I feel like that, I-
read that, or should that not be part of this project?
I don't think
What are you looking at?
that,
That's not part of, yeah.
Well, I mean.
South of the parcel?
Yeah.
I think we would be very pleased to have a connection and the city could plan to meet that connection with that outlot there as we kind of, I think that's
City
asking,
council
I
should
think that's
provide
asking a
funds.
lot.
Yeah,
I think we're already asking,
They're already gonna negotiate
yeah,
on the whole park
Okay.
fee, and fees in lieu of,
yep,
and they're gonna incorporate everything we put in
oh,
here
yeah,
in their calculations. They're gonna be on site doing construction. And I'm just thinking, it might not be take a whole hell of a lot for them to throw some material, whatever the rest of the trail is, gravel or what have you, in there. I don't know how you guys think about that.
Yeah, I mean, there's mechanisms if we wanted to explore being reimbursed by the city and
Well,
having
yeah.
us
I'm
do it.
not asking you to do it for free.
Yeah. If
oh,
that-
okay,
I'm
I
just
thought
thinking
that's,
if
It
it's
was
putting a path up to here and having it stop,
Oh,
it would make sense to go the extra.
Okay, now I'm following you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
700 feet and connect up to the park.
that makes perfect sense.
And since, okay, I don't want to get into the discussion about parks, but I want to be able to get people to be able to get to the park readily.
And that would be important, actually an important sales part for you. In that you would have a trail that would get your residents over to Pheasant Branch.
So is that part of the motion then?
Yeah,
I would like that as part of the trail in there, yes.
yes.
okay,
Need to have clear wording in terms of anything outside the plat would be eligible for reimbursement by the municipality, right? That's what we're saying.
Yeah,
Versus
I am,
fronting that.
because that's me. I think that's only fair.
Because we certainly done that where there's been an identified and agreed upon price. And then we true up at the end. I mean, that's, we could discuss that.
And this is a big plus for
It-
your residents.
It just seems to me that the city, being the way cities are with budgets and everything, if we leave that up to the city to get that done.
It'll be 15 years from now.
All right, David, what do you want to say?
Developer to extend the trail segment south from the
Boardwalk portion,
boardwalk to extend to the Pheasant Branch,
Ridge,
Pheasant Ridge.
Pheasant Branch,
Ridge.
Ridge Park.
Sorry, I don't know. With appropriate material is similar to the existing trail to be the cost to be reimbursed by the city.
Well, let's see here. Let's see where Kevin's at. Well, yeah, that's good.
We're gonna set up Kevin with a microphone and he's gonna get all this.
There's our AI.
Well, you can get it in Word right now, you know?
Developer to extend trail connection south outside Ziegler parcel to.
Within outlot 1. Yeah, or that's outlot 1. Connect with,
Doesn't,
Kevin's getting it. And that one, it looks to be that it can be all asphalted. We've looked at that portion.
Okay.
We just have to, there's 4 residents, 4,
These guys,
1, 2, 3, 4, yeah,
Yeah.
that we need to do a delineation on and let them know where their yard is.
How can we word that so it's not match?
Oh, that's all right.
What'd you say, Kevin? Developer?
I think, yeah, that one.
Sure.
I'd say,
Might have been.
Ridge Park.
Some of Ziegler's.
and then something to the effect of cost
City.
subject to reimbursement by city.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is a win-win.
Is that trail currently?
What's
What?
that?
Is
Asphalt.
it paved?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is paved. Okay.
Okay. And then the other item that we, for any trail not on public land and easement would be preferred, to a land dedication. I don't know if we'll have this come up, but if any trail alignment, we prefer easements, than land dedication. And that's due to, taking care of all, how do you take care of the vegetation? Sometimes it gets a little challenging with developer.
Yeah,
And you have a lot more to maintain there.
it's one of
Yeah.
these things.
It's you
Either way you do it.
have a lot more to maintain in that area. I don't know.
Yeah.
It depends on the space and the,
Okay. I think we've gone over it all now.
anything else you guys wanted to add, or you have questions for the
Yeah, is
developer?
there anything we missed?
can't think of anything.
I like this plan. I think it's a good addition to development. I can certainly tell all my friends that are complaining about lack of affordable single-family homes in the area that will at least get single-family homes.
I know, I was gonna say.
At least we're getting
I live in a van
single-family-
down by the river.
we're at least getting single-family homes.
Yeah.
I'm tired of hearing about.
There's a
apartment
high,
buildings.
yeah, there's a high need for that, for sure, and the planner.
And land is expensive.
Yes,
People
it
need
is.
to realize that.
Yeah, I mean,
And this one's gonna be a lot to develop.
I don't think I want to know how much you guys are going to end up paying Ziegler's for all this, and what it's going to take to develop.
So, now the next portion is the
We need a
motion.
motion.
Okay, yeah,
Motion to approve.
Okay.
motion to approve.
David, you want to second
Second
it? Okay.
Yeah,
written.
yeah,
Okay.
can you guys say?
Or as edited.
Yeah. Is that it?
Then
Whatever.
any other comments on it? Then all in favor, please say aye. Aye. And if there's no one opposed and Thank you for coming.
you.
Yep,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. You don't have to come back here to get.
Now we're off tomorrow night.
No more Middleton this week.
Oh, very much.
So it's okay to hold on.
Yeah, can I keep?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Because you've got to come to
Hey,
water
Oh, hey,
resources.
yeah, what would it take? You guys are not, I mean, not the wage.
I know where he's going with this.
I get really upset with going into my agenda packet and I have these tiny little things and I zoom into it and I hit one of these big engineering. And all of a sudden I've got to move here, there, back and forth, zoom in, zoom out, and it's a real pain in the tush. So could
Provide us with
everything be
hard
11 by
copies.
17 or smaller?
Yeah.
No, well, also like, maybe we can make a recommendation to get a different software besides on base for the city of Middleton.
That sounds like an excellent idea.
I think way off our agenda right now.
Oh, no, Kevin.
The only
I just asked you a question. I wasn't
We're
involved in
making-
the-
Provide us hard copies.
Oh, yeah.
There are some
Okay.
submittal requirements for some of the engineering. They require
Yeah.
it to be at a certain scale. So that what drives some of the sheet sizes sometimes.
How about?
Thank you, though.
Provide us with hard copies.
What's up?
You guys
We-
provide the city staff with hard copies for the committee members
We can,
like this.
yeah.
Having this would have been fabulous.
Yes.
Thank you very much for your time and energy. Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you.
okay. We're still on recording. We're still in the meeting.
Yes,
Agenda item 1.
let's go back to when I find where the agenda even is.
Okay. There we go.
Meeting. Here we are. Okay, item 1. Introduction of new Public Works Committee designee Charles Meyer.
All right, Brandon Lang has conflict with CLC meetings, so he's stepped back from being the designated PWC member of CLC. He had most recently been appointed on 6/10 of 24. Public Works Committee Chair Charles Myers has agreed to serve on the CLC as a PWC liaison moving forward. And I was going to introduce him at this meeting. He emailed me earlier in the week when we sent out the notification and let me know that he would not be able to be here. So we can table that till next.
Item 2, continued discussion only on plant communities of Jacobson Conservancy, Lakeview Community Park West, and I requested this for last time. I think we can put this on hold until I can find out more information from down there.
Okay.
I'm great with that. Is there anything else you want? in-
Do you know the question though, just because we were, the
Enclosures?
next step was to meet with you and.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so maybe we can figure out a time
Time
to
to
get out
meet.
in the field
Yeah,
and look at it. What's the urgency on it, or
I
make
think.
sure we get together this fall before?
well,
this fall.
one thing that makes it a little bit more urgent is the development that's being planned for the soccer fields.
Yeah, the soccer field
Because
development.
what they're asking for in terms of stormwater management is to pay a fee rather than manage the stormwater on site. If they paid a fee, the water is gonna flow across the existing homes into the lake, or it's gonna get shunted into the wetlands.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I-
And so if you've got is it a wren or a fen or what?
Fen?
A fen. If you've got a
Yeah.
fen up there that's fed by groundwater and then you drowned it, I mean, that's not gonna be
I
good.
think
So,
we probably need to meet fairly soon.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think it's a relevant question it is tied to that development, but this is a unique area, clearly from reading what's there
Oh,
in
yeah.
those old
I
plans
just think that
that
we
we
need
have an
to
obligation to
discuss it.
protect.
sooner rather than later.
Yes,
Do we need a stormwater person, because the issue is how much stormwater is coming from the soccer fields and all that stuff?
I don't think we need a stormwater to discuss it. I serve on water resources and stormwater utilities.
Can I ask a question?
Yes,
For this topic, for it's number 2, what's the policy issue that we're discussing with this? What's the
Well,
policy
there's a
issue?
couple of things. One is the water, protecting it from stormwater coming in from areas. And my other concern is it's a unique, somewhat rare area that the city has invested a lot of money in restoring it back before you were here, Kylie. And it's getting degraded. I used to be able to drive by there and see the marsh marigolds in bloom in the spring. You can't see anywhere into there. It's just growing up with buckthorn.
I think the issue is this feature really there or not? Because looking back through all the reports that are in the minutes here, there's been a lot of soil borings and things like that, and no one has mentioned it. But I think it
Yeah,
bubbled up through, I can't remember who.
Bob Warnerell, like 20 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
well, I
So that's the
remember,
2002 study, and then there's a wetland delineation by Alice Thompson in there from
Yeah.
And
2014.
there's
Right.
wetland delineation. They just don't mention that there's this groundwater feature.
Yeah, in either report, and then also I have just the relevant pages from all three of our Conservancy lands plans, and none of those mention that. They're probably looking back at those two plans, but if there's additional information that you want me to attach here,
there's-
let me do that.
we need to talk with Penny Klein or Alice Thompson, because I remember when this came up, there was a unique plant mentioned at Conservancy lands meetings. I don't know that it was in the report.
Yeah, that
I'm gonna
strikes
offer-
me as something that should have been in there. That
Yeah.
report.
So Alice was in there
What?
in
You're gonna call-
2014.
No,
That
no.
report's on there.
I'm just gonna offer a suggestion. It sounds like protecting the area and restoration and just everything kind of revolved around that conservancy is a highlight, right, of what the discussion. So
Yes.
some recommendation that I have and to what we have coming forward is our master plan, right? And it's highlight all of our priorities and I want our committees and our committee for CLC and PRFC to really stay focused on what projects that we have coming forward. What projects that we have in the docket, because it takes away a lot of resources from Kevin to be able to focus on all of the priorities that we have for 2025, 2024 to get done. If we get side railed into a project that's not identified as a need for through our master planning for 2024, 2025. But this is an area definitely that protecting and restoration is needed.
It should be in the master.
And it will be in the master plan. It's not gonna be, right? But my suggestion would be, we have some funds that I think we could utilize as a part of a master planning and a management plan for that entire area, including the park, which is one of the worst looking parks in the entire city of Middleton. And Jacobson Conservancy as a whole to look at that and what to do with that. It sounds like we have really old documentation and we're not sure about a lot of things. Why don't we hire a team to take a look at that and try to develop a plan and then come back with relevant updated information so we know where to move forward with protecting that area and restoring and what we should be doing currently. And that it can be a kind of a whole project on that whole east side of Lakeview Park in between there that we need to take a look at, because we really don't spend any resources and time on any of those spaces, including the park and the conservancy.
Kylie, I think one of the things is if that development goes forward, this committee needs to at least be able to say that the stormwater from that soccer field should not run off into these areas because they're such valuable conservation areas.
And we can look at that as that development's coming forward for sure and have that.
Because
but-
I don't know where it is on coming forward, but it's
In the planning
It's
commission.
starting to, it was on the
There
agenda
was
last
something on it
night.
Last night.
Okay.
So I think if
so it's coming back.
it just,
So
if,
there's a possibility that there will be development of the current soccer fields into
Oh,
a
yeah.
residential.
Yep, and
That's what, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I just don't want to get sidetracked
Yeah.
onto this whole project in this area with Kevin's time because
No, that's-
they're doing, but he,
Yeah.
I mean, he is spending time preparing for this meeting and
Yeah.
looking into all of this. So I really want to make sure that this committee is staying really focused. Once we get that new management plan, we're gonna have identified targets to hit and we can all
I
like
think
help.
we want to get this into our main management plan as an area that we need to maintain.
Yeah, and it's gonna be noted in there and prioritized
So
for sure, but it doesn't mean that it's gonna be high. They're gonna look at that and
no, I'm thinking more in terms of telling this developer, you've got to keep that water on site. We can't have it destroying our conservancy land.
Well, talk to Eric. I mean, they haven't provided a
Stormwater,
management
no.
plan yet.
No,
And that was kind of a sticking point that they're asking for things and they haven't provided certain things.
right,
There's a whole bunch of, chicken and egg.
yes.
What's gonna happen first?
Mhm.
So, yeah, I think that can be addressed.
Yeah, and I want to be able at Water Resources to say that this is a very sensitive area. that
yeah,
Yeah,
We
have-
need to
yeah.
protect.
I think
Okay.
between that connection to stormwater, water resources and this committee, we're gonna be able to put a recommendation to plan based on the
Yeah.
things that you're seeing, so.
I'll look at those. I didn't look at the enclosures.
Yeah,
ahead of
and I
time.
can get you hard if you want,
Yeah, hard copy, great.
yes.
It's
I can
hard
do
to
that.
read
You
things
can
on my
swing
phone.
it to-
so.
Yep, I get a hard copy of it too. Yes. Because it's
So let's,
Water
keep
Resources.
that on the agenda for whatever next month is,
Yeah,
November.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we go to, we've already discussed this.
Yay.
Ziegler.
Hey, that's a good segue.
It is.
So
Yeah.
our November meeting is scheduled for the night before Thanksgiving.
You want
Kevin's
to
not
turn
coming.
things.
I was saying we should make it the next morning, right?
There you go.
So,
Turkey
Need
chop.
a big screen TV in here.
We all put our turkeys in the oven and then we
Yeah.
come and have a meeting.
if
and
you
then
want to
time-
reschedule,
done
we can do
meeting,
that.
our
I
turkeys
can
will be done.
propose the 19th, which is a Tuesday, or the 26th, which is a Tuesday, and we could meet in this room at our regular time.
Why
Um,
don't you poll committee members and take the one you get the most people and say if you're available for both, check both.
Oh,
I go
well,
for the 19th.
shoot, they're both Tuesdays.
Yep.
Tuesday's not a good day for me. I have my barbershop rehearsal every Tuesday night.
Oh,
And we
And
have a Christmas concert coming up. so
Yes,
we have
I'll be
to-
there.
But that's at 7. If we met
could we meet
early, like a 5 or a 5:30,
I think we could do
On
that.
a
Yep.
Tuesday.
Jim, could you make that?
yeah.
and then it wouldn't matter.
Go ahead of
With
time. Yep,
knowing
yep.
ahead of time.
So these are just ones that I looked at, the schedule for this room. And I think
It's gonna be
on the 19th.
Yeah.
Otherwise the 26th.
You can look at it.
Okay, so I'm gonna propose 5 o'clock on the 19th, which is a Tuesday.
Yeah, I think that would be fine.
Right, and then December, we have a meeting on the 25th.
Yes. Yes. Perfect.
Special to anyone. But we could do Tuesday, the 17th.
Is that going to conflict with Water Resources?
Can you do the prior Thursday?
I can look.
Yeah, because Water Resources meets. This is what, the fourth Wednesday normally?
Look at that calendar right there.
That's what, so December water resources is on the 18th. So if you did the 19th of December. And then. The 21st of November, those might work, but I don't know, those are just ideas.
What days?
The 21st of November for
Uh-huh.
yours. Or, well. Oh, water resources.
Yeah, because I have to go to water resources.
Just trying.
One problem.
Okay, never mind. You got it. But, yeah,
Yeah, so I thought Thursday the,
19th of December?
or
what did you
Tuesday
say?
the 17th,
At 5.
but maybe
Oh.
Thursday the 19th, is that? work better?
Tom, would Thursdays be better?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
What?
so maybe Thursday the 21st of November. And then
Okay,
December 19th,
At 6 PM or regular time.
Thursday the 21st. And then
December 19th.
in the December 19th,
okay.
And both these at 5,
let's see here.
6, both of them?
Both at 6? Both.
That's what I'm thinking.
6.
Yeah.
Thursday the 21st.
Yeah,
Our committee is-
21st, I won't be here,
Yeah,
but,
our committee is in this room. Tuesday, this room is free.
Tuesday the 19th,
Yeah,
That's
because
okay.
I'm flying to my daughter's wedding,
Oh.
21st.
Oh, yeah.
Congratulations.
Totally.
right. So we'll
You have to
tentatively
be
say
there.
Tuesday the 19th.
Oh, we switched it. Kevin's gonna email all of you.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
that's-
just want to get some tentative. And then Tuesday the 17th is also, this room is free.
Okay,
But both are starting at what time?
What time do you want?
Don't care.
So if it is Tuesday, then it should be 5
5 PM. Okay,
for me.
that's what we'll tentatively put it at.
December 17th. Kevin, you're talking about December 17th?
December 17th.
Yeah.
okay,
6.
okay.
And I'll
At 5.
email those out
Yeah, if it's
Oh,
Tuesday,
it's Tuesday.
if it's
Sure.
Tuesday, 5.
Sure,
and I'll email those dates out in advance.
thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
Okay, staff report.
So, adaptive restoration with a. You have my table
Oh, yeah,
contents,
yeah,
what sheet is
okay.
my
I can help you.
staff report on? I didn't even put it on.
I don't see it. But it has to be after, wait, it has to be after 3:07?
Huh.
So that's the latest one,
All right, I'm
like
just gonna read it.
3:09?
Here we go. Adaptive restoration has been up to Conservancy land planning. They facilitated our meeting number 5, public involvement meeting number 5 at Cromery Middle School. They met with city staff, mission and goals meeting, held a stakeholder meeting for stakeholders. They've been working with the Friends of Pheasant Branch for Creek corridor restoration planning. So this is something that I think probably be a agenda item for next month, is to go over some of the recommendations and ideas there, and efforts between the city and the Friends group. Pond Master Plan, they did a vegetation survey as well as in September, this vegetation survey. And then as far as invasive species removal, they've been doing some re-canary grass removal from the creek corridor. City of Middleton Parks crew, we took part in the Middleton High School 9th grade service project in the creek corridor. That was 2 days. Friday, we had 112 students cutting buckthorn in the
Wow.
creek corridor. 88 students in the afternoon, and then another 112 on Monday morning. So working basically in the parcel behind the Bauman Aquatic Center. So if you drive down park where it turns there before the high school, got
It's
some
looking a
clearing.
lot better.
Yeah, so a lot of work got done. We spread seed that was collected on Conservancy lands and did a really good job of trampling it in. So I did some hazard removal in the Pheasant Branch, hazard tree removal in the Pheasant Branch Creek corridor and gave notifications for fall prescribed fire. Our Oak Hill crew has been checking, clearing trails, removing ragweed from Airport Prairie, a lot of native seed collection, and a lot of prescribed fire break preparation. Confluence Pond and the creek corridor is where our targeted prescribed fires are going to be. And then Parks Department staff, the Conservancy Lands Plan, public involvement meeting at Cromery, mission goals meeting, meeting with Friends of Pheasant Branch regarding the creek corridor restoration, the 9th grade service project, stakeholders meeting, and we met with the Bach Community Garden Board. That's what I have for staff report. So.
Okay. Now reports from committee liaisons. David.
So we've talked about the Precinct Park Shelter at the last Park Commission meeting. And there's a lot of concern because adjacent to the park shelter in the asphalt area, there are several large oak trees and a shade park hickory. And that's right, adjacent to the stream bank. And I was sort of saying that we need to have a long-term plan for that stream bank stabilization. And we don't want to lose a tree and then have huge washouts. So I think we should look, I mean, it's not an immediate thing, but somewhere, hopefully in the next year, start looking at ways that we could introduce some nice deep rooted prairie plants in that area to really hold that together. So that because those trees are older, they will.
How about some smaller trees going in also?
As I suggest that as long as they are not going to interfere with the prairie plants, that's just fine.
Yeah.
But I don't want to put maples in.
No, I'm talking about putting in some oak trees and shagbark hickories,
Yeah.
small ones.
Yeah, species compatible with that savanna
Yeah.
Right.
ecosystem. Absolutely.
Absolutely fine. Yeah.
Okay. Public Works designee is not here and Water Resources did not meet this month. So I can't report on anything. And future agenda items.
All right, so I have continued discussion on Lakeview East Jacobson. Like I said, I probably pre-corridor management plans. Anything else?
Kylie, you had mentioned that being part of an effort to kind of survey the Lakeview Park and
Yeah, we would be,
take inventory there.
well, I think we were probably gonna be looking at doing some combined park conservancy master management plan for that whole section, just all at once, rather than disrupting public or getting everybody's public input at the same time. But that is not prioritized yet as far as I think we'd be able to have funds available to do that. Because I believe we have some funds available to do that, but I just want to prioritize of when timing and with all of the master plans that we have kind of going on, the 3 Graber, Bach, and the master plan for Conservancy, it's not a good time to start a new one yet. So I think once we get a little bit more wrapped up and we can address that, but maybe starting sometime in 2025.
Yeah, it's good timing, I think, with the those buildings that went up by Harbor.
Yeah.
With a couple
Yeah.
hundred rental units there, and we're talking about up to 500 units on the soccer field.
Yeah.
Stormwater management is a nightmare for that, so I'm hoping that could scale back. But that's gonna, bring a lot more people into that area. So it'd be nice to have some planning because
Recreational opportunities.
Yeah.
Like within that space, I think there's a lot. Recreational opportunities with more residents, right? In that space that we can help service.
Yeah.
A little
most of
bit
it's,
more.
most of it's pretty soggy.
Yeah,
there's
but
some
there,
land there too. So
but I look at recreation as being like trail access,
Passive and active.
yeah, passive and active. So
Yep.
That'll be something that we hopefully would get to in 2025, maybe 2026.
great.
I think we can adjourn.
Great,
All right.
great, thanks.
Good discussion tonight.
Yeah. yeah.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much,
guys. That was-
everybody. That was
A lot to go through. Thanks
was
for
a lot.
leading us through it.
I always kind of get a little.
I will be in a second.